Hi, you're listening to Childless and Moving Onward. This is the place where we talk about thriving in life when you're a woman who is childless, not by choice, regardless of the road that brought you to childlessness. Welcome to episode 47 of Childless and Moving Onward. I'm your host, Gail Miller. I'm a physician, life coach, and speaker. And today we're going to explore the topic of healing. So get ready for a mix of emotions, sometimes hurt, sometimes there's aha moments, hopefully maybe a little bit of laughter as we unpack this crucial aspect of navigating this childless experience. If you're experiencing or if you're expecting a linear journey with healing, honestly, it's the same as expecting pigs to fly. Spoiler, they don't. This journey of healing isn't going to be linear, and it's not going to be easy, but there's ways to navigate it. But before we get started, I do want to give a shout out to Sherry, who said, "Thank you so much for sharing. You have definitely helped me so many different ways." And thank you, Sherry. I really appreciate that feedback. Okay, now get cozy, find a comfortable spot to settle in, open your heart, and let's embark on this healing adventure together. Don't worry, I promise this won't be like one of those meditation apps that tell you to imagine you're on a beach while you're stuck in traffic or, sitting wondering what to order for dinner. Okay, we're keeping it real here. So first, let's start with clearing up what healing means. We often see the word healing and think it means getting all better. No more pain, no more grief. But that's not the reality. And it's also not the goal of healing. Healing is the process of moving forward with emotional pain and distress to reach emotional well-being. I don't know who this quote is from, but this describes what healing is. And here it is. Healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the pain no longer controls your life. And that really sums up what healing is. Healing isn't, this is all going to be better. There's no more pain. It's going away. It's not. But the pain doesn't have to control your life. There's two challenges, though, of working on healing. The first is that healing doesn't happen on a straight line. It's rarely a straight path. It's more like a winding path with unexpected turns, occasional setbacks, turns left, turns right, more setbacks, occasional surprising leaps forward. Understanding this helps because it helps you to realize that it's all normal. So that all of the setbacks, all of the stalls don't leave you thinking there's something wrong with you, because there's not. Healing also happens in cycles, just like the rest of life. So you might reach a period where you're feeling good, maybe even great, and thinking, I'm over it. I'm over this pain. And then, bam, something happens and the old pain resurfaces. Sometimes triggers happen and the old issues pop up, but now you're viewing them from a different perspective. Because after all, life happens. And as it does, it affects how you relate to things, how you view things. For me, one thing that happened was watching one of the morning shows. One of the hosts was on leave because she had just adopted a child. Before that, I had been feeling great. Like I thought I'm over it. And then they were talking about her adoption and the congratulations and the baby photos. And I broke down. I wasn't even sure why. And then I realized she was around the same age that I was when I wanted to adopt. Never before all this, the idea of adoption never left me feeling my loss. But now I was hearing about this with a different perspective. And at that point, it just broke my heart. So new experiences give us a different outlook on life, and then they can trigger us, even though it may not be something that would have triggered us before. So that brings us to a second challenge, and that navigating the healing, we think of it as we're going to get to a point, but we don't. Healing isn't a finite experience. It's not a finite destination. It's not something that happens and then it ends. Instead, it's an ongoing process. It's not a fixed endpoint. We adapt, we grow, we have setbacks. We go through new experiences that have nothing to do even with childlessness, but it affects our coping skills and, again, our view on life. Healing doesn't reach an ending. It's about developing resilience and skills that let us navigate the triggers and the pain so that, like I said earlier, the goal is to reach a point where that pain doesn't rule over our lives. It's not to say we don't have days, periods of time when that pain hits that we can't function the way we normally do. It's just that is not our 24/7, 365 life when we've done some healing. So it doesn't rule our life all the time. But accepting these challenges, that healing is not a straight path, and that it's not an end goal, an end point, accepting that helps us to understand that the setbacks are normal. Because we need that to end the cycle of self-blame. And it helps to foster patience with yourself and self-compassion. When you recognize that the ups and downs, the backs and forths, the stalls are normal, it helps to make the small victories more obvious, and it helps to keep going. So what is the road of healing? It starts with becoming aware of your feelings, accepting them, recognizing they're valid, and not judging your emotions. It involves recognizing that all of your emotions are what makes you human. Now, our natural instinct is to stay away from the uncomfortable stuff, right? The painful emotions, right? Who wants to feel that? We don't. So if we think that if we somehow get away, whether it's pretending the pain isn't there, distracting ourselves, pushing the feelings down, numbing ourselves, substituting less uncomfortable emotions, we think that if we get away from that, that's going to make us better. We would do anything to not feel the bad stuff. But that's part of the problem. The process of healing involves feeling and processing your emotions. If you don't, the uncomfortable, the painful emotions, they don't go away. Instead, they stay and they fester, they grow. They're still there underlying everything you do, every experience. And then they come out. And usually they come out in ways that don't align with how you want to live your life. So what does that mean? It means you'll do things that mask the pain temporarily. Those things don't mask the pain permanently. They don't get rid of it. So it feels good in the immediate moment, and then the pain returns. And it's usually even more painful. Things like numbing ourselves with addictions, whether it's to video games, drugs, gambling, shopping, food. Those are things that can give you an immediate high, or at least leave you feeling numb and not the painful stuff. But it's temporary. Because after that, you feel worse. Now you've done things you don't want to do. For me, it's eating foods that I know make me ill. But they taste so good when they're going down. Or I overspend. It feels great in the moment, and then I beat myself up after. I'm feeling no better, and the pain I was trying to run away from is still there. It's just worse. So the process of healing requires feeling the tough stuff, the stuff we don't want to feel. But when you do that, when you allow those feelings, you're able to release the emotional energy that isn't helpful, but that stays stuck in your body. Also, part of healing is learning ways to manage stress and challenges in life. So as you accomplish things, you'll be better able to bounce back from difficulties, and you develop more self-understanding and self-compassion, which is usually missing, or if not totally missing, not where it should be. It's still lacking in our lives. So as I said, emotional healing isn't linear. So let's talk about some strategies for healing. The first part, as I've already mentioned, is recognizing and facing your emotions. All of your emotions. Feel them. Don't find ways to move around or away from them. Identify them, but don't judge them. They're not good, they're not bad. They're not right or wrong. They're human emotions. Acknowledge reality. Accept reality. Acceptance that being childless as your reality is key. You don't want to, but this is the reality. And it's important to acknowledge it. Next is to calm your nervous system through breathing exercises or meditation, and practice self-compassion. And as part of that, it means replacing self-criticism with positive self-talk. Express those feelings, all of them, the positive ones and the ones that society is telling us are negative. Express them through outlets like physical activity or creative outlets. So that can be art, hobbies, gardening, writing, singing, dancing, creating music. It can be dressing up your dog or your cat or whatever if you have a pet. There's no limit. There are so many options for creativity. And they're great for emotional healing because they give us a safe, expressive way to work through feelings and experiences. And then the next is challenge your limiting beliefs. Those are the self-imposed mental barriers that include negative self-talk. And what they do is they restrict healing. They restrict personal growth. Those are the negative beliefs about yourself, like I'm not good enough or I'm a failure. But what they do is they become fuel for our brains. And when things then don't work out, it reinforces those false beliefs. To challenge limiting beliefs, first ask yourself, is that thought about myself truly valid? But instead of just believing it, look for evidence to disprove it. Use that to flip around that belief and reframe the thought about yourself. But this isn't an endpoint because, again, healing isn't finite. It's an ongoing process. Part of that is regularly working on stress reduction, regularly working on practices to handle challenges because they don't end. The challenges of being childless or the challenges of the rest of life. And triggers come up all the time that need to be navigated. But it's also important to remember that healing isn't about reaching a perfect state. Again, it's not an endpoint, but there's no perfect state. It's an ongoing evolution of you and your identity. As you encounter new experiences, different emotions, there's new challenges that arrive. And those are opportunities for learning and growth, even when they're awful. We want the awful stuff to go away, and we acknowledge it's awful, but also try to shift it around as, okay, when you're able, because always in a challenging period, in a crisis, you need to take care of that immediately first. And when you get to a point where you can try to find a new perspective, look at that as a way to learn and grow. Embrace the path of healing with patience and grace, knowing that each step you take, it doesn't matter what direction it's going in, whether it's forward or even backwards, whether it's those the steps off to the left and right, the setbacks bringing you back. Know that every step of that is contributing to a deeper understanding of yourself and building your resilience. The twists and turns of your healing journey, those are chances for you to do some self-reflection, and they're chances to learn about personal growth. Remember, if life gives you lemon, it's okay to make lemonade. And for some, it's also okay to add a splash of vodka and call it a day. Healing is about progress. It's not about perfection. All right, that's it for today. I will be back with you next week. Thanks for listening. If you liked this episode and you know someone who could benefit from this podcast, please share it with them and post about it on social media. There are many other women who are looking for this help and would love to know about it. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at Childless Path Onward or on Facebook and YouTube at Path Onward. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.